We are back, interNEXT 2021, and now we are talking about the revenge of the Paysites. Riding the ups and downs, Paysites are making a comeback. How the fuck are some Paysites continuing to make money like it's 2002, even though it's now 2021? It mostly comes down to hard work, understanding the market, and making use of the 2 decades of experience in selling content. These experts can help you understand what you may have been missing, and that's a great way to amp up any new or existing Paysite you own as well. I'm going to pass the conch over to Bryan Sevilla, CEO from FPNcash, owner and operator of a network of Paysites. Go ahead, Bryan.
Hi, that is me. I'm Bryan Sevilla from the CEO of FPNcash. Yeah. What else would you like me to say?
Well, you can go ahead, Bryan. Take it over.
Hey guys, I think I'm supposed to be moderating this thing, but you can have it.
No, Kenny, I would please, Kenny. I do not want to be Kenny.
All right, good stuff, guys. Thank you, everyone, for joining the Paysite panel. My name is Kenny, and I am a pornoholic. It has been 21 years since I started peddling smut on the internet, and no amount of group meetings or social pressure will get me to stop. I run your Paysite partner and Stunner Media. We are a services company that helps companies in the straight and gay market monetize their content and make more with their Paysites. We'll start with letting everybody introduce themselves. So all the people sharing the stage, Bryan, James Dean, you already went. So Toby, do you want to go ahead?
Hey everyone, I'm Toby Morris. I am the VP of Sales and Marketing at Falcon NakedSword. We run the NakedSword video on demand Paysite, the Netflix of gay porn. And we also work with Buddy Profits and Gamma to host all of our popular brand sites, falconstudios.com, ragingstallion.com, and fistinginferno.com.
Fantastic. Mickey, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Mickey, CEO of LifeSelector and the Eats POV Paysite network. LifeSelector is now nearly 10 years old. It's an interactive POV choose your own adventure platform. And Its POV is a new Paysite network that we launched. As the name suggests, it's all POV.
Great. Hugh, do you want to go next?
Hello, I'm Hugh. Thank you. I'm Hugh from Dorsel, COO. Dorsel is a 40 years old brand that you might know. We have like, I don't know, like 10 websites, 10 Paysites, and also services on IPTV services. And we're located in France, so I apologize for my way to speak English.
All good. Devon, you're up.
Hey guys, I'm Devon. I run the marketing team over at Rabbits Network. You guys probably know us through Rabbits Reviews, the best porn, also in the cams world, Rabbits Cams, Cam Rabbit, Top Chats, all of those. And obviously we work with each one of the Paysites here on the panel, so it's great.
Good stuff. So when Panos asked me to moderate the Paysite panel, he sent me the original description, which was along the lines of, you know, are Paysites still a thing? How the heck are they still making money in 2021? And, you know, for me, after 21 years in the Paysite sector, it made me wonder, are we dinosaurs? Or is it that just in the minds of people in the industry that have, you know, are using another way of monetizing their traffic? Personally, for us, 2020 was probably the best year we've had since we started in 1999. We've launched several new sites in the last 18 months. And from those I speak to in the Paysite business, a lot of them are saying, you know, business is booming. I'm sure, you know, most of the world being stuck at home for the better part of the year without much else to do than look at porn has played a factor in it. So I guess there is a silver lining to COVID. But I want to ask the panelists how they find the current state of the traditional Paysite market. Do you want me to call on you guys? Anybody want to volunteer to go first? All right, Bryan, you're up.
I was really hoping you weren't going to have me go first. I have the luxury of entering the Paysite market in 2012. Before that, I was an affiliate. So my expectations have been managed a little bit differently because I never saw that heyday and golden era of, you put anything on the internet, you just make tons of money. It's always been kind of a hustle and a grind and trying to, target certain demographics and really focus on marketing in order to be able to generate sales. And then also, focusing in our other panel, Kenny, you brought up a good point about focusing on, how different products are different, all products are different. And if you are a content-based product or a technology-based product, or what do you offer your customer that is special and different, and then focus your energy on getting sales based off of who your customer is, opposed to just putting something out there and letting the market come to you. So for me, I see nothing that much different in the Paysite market than any other internet web sales. You figure out what you do, you figure out what your core competency is, you play to that, and you try to monetize the shit out of it.
Awesome. Nikki?
On my side, what I see is, after maybe 15 plus years of following it, there was certainly a consolidation in the market that started over 10 years ago, and has continued to go on the past few years as well. But despite all of that, I see a lot of companies thriving, and I would say the companies that are thriving are either companies that invest into their content, so high quality content, or it's niche sites, especially with a lot of the taboo stuff. We've all seen a big uptick in that in recent years, and there's also an improvement in high quality narrative based scenes and sites. I think Netflix has a lot to do with that. If we look back of what has been happening the past few years, I think Netflix and let's say the other top 5 streaming services in mainstream have sort of conditioned people to expect better quality for an incredibly low price, right? Like if you compare what television quality TV shows were like in the era of just cable television, or especially network television, it's light years ahead what we have now. And so I think a lot of that translates over to adult as well, because consumers, viewers are essentially the same people. And so, yeah, that conditioning, I think, is certainly there. And the companies that realize that are certainly doing well.
Awesome. Toby, how do you find the Paysite market, especially on the gay side?
Well, yeah, I definitely have to agree with Mickey there. We sort of have our little tagline that the San Francisco Chronicle gave to us, the Netflix of gay porn. And really it is that. It's like having, not only quality, but quantity, and a variety of content available like we have on NakedSword. We've been doing really well. I think a subscription-based product, as we saw things like Adobe and people are now also conditioned to that subscription model. And I think that it's really good for our business because, we can play with our pricing and do different things like other subscription style businesses that consumers have become increasingly familiar with. So, the state of the industry is very good on the Paysite side. I think I also agree with Mickey as far as quality content, like, Falcon Studios, Raging Stallion, and NakedSword Originals, we are creating some of the highest quality content and narrative content in the gay marketplace. And that has also been something that we have capitalized on, especially with, as we were talking about, like people being inside and they're looking for things to watch on their computer or on their TV. That's where they're going, is the subscription style product that has quality content, whether it's mainstream or porn.
Fantastic. Do you have anything to add from the Dorsal side of things?
Yeah, maybe one thing, I totally agree with what has been said before. One point is funny when we compare to Netflix, Netflix is a $10 per month service, and we are selling $30 service, $30 per month membership, which is like, I'm not in the industry since the same amount of time as you do guys. I'm here like 5 years ago, and I was in a mainstream TV company before. And I think what is being done on our side, it's obvious because I live it, but we are matching many stuff from mainstream. And as Bryan said, like many stuff, it's working over there. It should be working in our business. And we are kind of trying to take the best in class of these items to succeed in what we do. And in terms of marketing, in terms of UX, in terms of social media, everyone is trying to get the best of it and put it in our market.
Good stuff. I don't know. For me, that $10 Netflix subscription has now gone up to about $18. So they're slowly raising their prices, which is nice to see that consumers will get used to higher prices. Devon, you guys promote more Paysites than anybody else out there. What do you see going on?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's everyone is trying to be the Netflix of porn. But for us, it's not about that. I think Mickey hit it on the nose where it's about the niche content. It's about the quality of the content. It's about the consistency of not only the content, but also the release schedule and people having enough videos to consume on a regular basis, which is what's going to hook them and keep the rebuilds in there. Touching on what Hugh was saying, for us, it hasn't been about price point. It wasn't that during the pandemic, people were looking to spend just $10 a month. It was actually just standard prices, slight discounts. So that's what was selling the most across the board, but mostly for those brands that were extremely niche, people not able to find that content out there for free on the tube sites, and for the high quality content sites.
All right, good stuff. So on GFY especially, there's always been that debate, which is king, content or traffic. And in light of recent events of what's been going on, I think that we see what is king, and that's the ability to process credit card payments. Because when mine declassed that, well, it didn't matter the amount of traffic or what was on the site. So I want to discuss with you guys other ways in which Paysite owners could monetize their content, both online and offline. You have your content, you have your Paysite, that's great. But there's so many ways now to make more money off that content that was shot. I wouldn't mind starting with you to start this one off, because I know Dorsal offers many ways to monetize content.
I think it's also based on our history. When you asked me some question, I answered you that we work also on IPTV services, and idea is to bring to a specific market the operators, the operator who are running big amount of clients. I mean, everybody has a TV set-top box in their house, and in that set-top box today, they are almost all on Android TV or some kind of element like this, and we can bring them a kind of 360 experience. Netflix is a 360 experience, for example, and you can get them paid for the Paysite content, but on their bill, which is linked to their phones. So that means that there is no expiration date. So that means that you can let them sleep a long time. And this is a very big market. In Europe, it's very well working. I'm not sure it's as easy in the US. But I think this is one of the most examples we do have.
Okay, great. Toby, do you guys at Falcon have any other ways to monetize content offline or offline?
Well, what ways don't we monetize content offline is the better question. I mean, I've been on plenty of panels, and this comment or this question always comes up, and there's so many different channels still especially for quality content. And I think it's important that if you're a content creator and if you can raise the level of your content and make it available in other formats, it's a huge advantage that you have to make more money off of your content. I mean, we do everything from DVDs to putting our content on other VOD providers. Our parent company, AEBN, of course, has all of our all of our scenes as VOD product. We're selling direct download scenes, not just downloads as part of a membership, but you can actually go to our store where we have our DVD store and you can download the individual scenes as well. I mean, we're still doing direct mail for God's sake. Like, we're sending out mailers and people are buying DVDs, and mostly in the Midwest. But you know, there's just a lot of different ways that you can monetize content if it's a good quality and you have good images. So definitely, my suggestion to anyone watching this, if you have good images, if you focus on getting good images, focus on getting good content, putting it together and packaging it, you can, you know, there's a lot of other avenues for you to take that content and monetize it out there.
Great. And something we do, and I don't know if it works for you guys over at AEBN, we put together virtual DVDs. We do the art, we do everything to make it look like it's a DVD. We just slap 5 scenes together so we could get it onto the VOD site. So we don't need an actual physical DVD, but we are packaging it as if it's a DVD to put it out there to monetize our content in different ways.
Well, even on our store, we put together like scene bundles. So it's the same idea. Like, you can, and it's the same idea if you position it that way to DVD. Like, create a cover and call it whatever you want to call it. Like, we did a bunch of content over, you know, during the lockdowns that we had models that were sequestered together. They shot content. We have that all as individual scenes, and we're putting it together into DVD, but you could also just take that and put that together as a package, and we call it Ultimate Dick, and you send it off to your VOD partners and they put it up as a movie.
Good stuff. Mickey, Bryan, do you have anything you'd like to add to this topic?
Yeah, I can only comment on what Hugo mentioned about their platform. So we work with them, and what I like about how they operate is they're essentially an aggregator, right? Regardless of the platform that they're selling it on, whether that's certain VOD sites that we don't work with, or it's broadcasts, other offline venues, etc. Because I do think, as a Paysite owner or operator, everyone has 24 hours in a day, right? So at the end of the day, you have to figure out what is core business to you, and then try to find the best partners to work with for everything else. And so in the case of, you know, our working relationship with them is they give us the guidelines based on what they know works best. We send the content and we receive the stats and essentially just collect the commission. So, but that's just a side note, really. My other suggestion would be to sort of go off the beaten path if you can, as a content producer or Paysite owner. And what I mean by that is, you know, there's a set of DVD set or VOD sites that you can work with, right? But what if you can make the model-based sites work for your brand? What if there's other creative ways that you can market your content on these, let's say, third-party channels? And I think, at least for us, it's always important to look at these third-party platforms as primarily marketing channels and not sales channels. So I'm more interested in getting our brand in front of as many people as possible than I am in whether it's going to be you know, X amount of dollars or another. Obviously, the revenue is also important, but again, our goal is to sort of use it as a showcasing of our content, and our goal is to get those users come over to our site and not stay on the third-party site.
Good stuff. Bryan, are you using premium tubes? Are you using clip sites, anything like that?
Yeah, so So to what Mickey was saying about, core business and finding other people to do everything else, I was thinking something along that similarly. I don't know who our demographic is right now, if we're talking to other Paysite owners, smaller Paysite owners, or people who are purely content producers that are looking for ways to monetize their content. Identifying how you make money and what your real business is, whether it's being a producer and then taking advantage of third-party platforms, or whether it be running pay sites, whatever it may be. There's going to be a different way of handling monetization of content and remonetization of content. There are lots of ways, like you were saying. There's the premium tubes, which now, some of them are making less money than they used to. And there's, clip sites and VOD sites and broadcast distribution and DVD distribution and various formats and that you can do with each one, depending on your content and how you package it and what it is you actually are producing. And identifying to what Mickey was saying, identifying what your core business is and focusing your energy there on what's going to make you the most revenue, and finding good partners to be able to then put your content in as many places as possible, and then try to get them back to your primary business. That's I think probably the name of the game for most Paysite owners. But in this day and age, you have the majority, like some of the most profitable companies in porn aren't companies. They're just a person with a cell phone, and that person with a cell phone could be making 30 to 60%. I mean, that's a jump, but 30 to 40% realistically higher revenue if they were taking advantage of all the various content monetization platforms and techniques that exist if you just look for them. You have your licensing deals, your broadcast deals, which is similar, VOD and third party view share sort of things, and then your direct sales. So if you're focusing on direct sales, try to find other people to then focus on these other options and go out and get licensing deals. And if someone's going to give you 10 grand, 20 grand for your library from 4 years ago, and who cares? Take the money, you've now increased your revenue, and you can pour that into content, make better content. As you guys were saying, content quality is something you see a direct correlation with revenues. So then you can produce better content, make more money from your core business, on and on and on and on and on and on.
Good stuff.
Sorry, just to add to that, that's a really great point. And I've seen quite a few producers flip the script and have no Paysite of their own, and just focus on what they do best, which is creating content that hasn't been created before, or certainly not in that style or in that niche. And they just leave the monetization of it to third parties, and they're quite successful actually.
Yep, and Mickey, we've sent you a lot of POV content that we have to monetize. You haven't sold yourself on this, but I'd like to give you the floor for people with good content that you could monetize for them.
Yeah, so I would consider ourselves off the beaten path a little bit as well. What I mentioned earlier, because we also allow content producers to monetize their content in a unique way. It's I'm not going to give the whole sales pitch, but essentially it's a hands-off approach. So this kind of goes back to what I mentioned earlier, especially POV content producers. If you have existing content, you can send it to us. We'll do the editing, adding the interactive elements, etc., and we turn them we're essentially repurposing them into interactive shows. All you have to do, again, is look at stats and collect a paycheck. And so that's kind of what I meant by, look for sometimes the medium-sized partners that can help you in ways that you haven't even maybe thought of, or you didn't think you could make work.
Awesome. You've made more money for us, so I wanted you to be able to pitch your service for other people.
That's
all right. So great. So we know how to make money now off the Paysite. How do you make more with your Paysite? When I first got started in the industry, I heard someone use an analogy which I thought was fantastic. Basically, buying a subscription to a Paysite is like buying a movie ticket or a show ticket. That's the price of admission. Then you have the snacks, the rides, the merchandise, everything else that you could basically get. How do you get more money out of that member? I know different stuff we do that we could, finesse that member into spending a little more. And I wanted to know from you guys before, what you do to make more out of that member. Anybody want to grab the floor first, or should I pick on someone? No? Nobody wants to go first?
I'm
Right,
sorry, I
so-
wasn't paying attention. What did you say?
How do you make more money from your members once you've got them, they've joined, you've got that credit card on file?
Sorry, I'm on my computer and like a million things are popping up, and I just was like, yeah, I can deal with this and multitask, and I can't. Sorry about that.
Thanks for being with us.
I'm here, I swear.
All right. So how do you make more money from your members once they've joined?
Upsells are a great thing. I have no, it's not that unique. I have a system that kind of funnels everybody into a large database area, and it gives me the ability to kind of market across different sites and platforms and be able to sell, for instance, your product to all the members simultaneously. So it gives me the ability to kind of roll members into different places. Cams, if there's anyone here that knows anything about that, I don't know, some bearded Canadian gentleman who Hulk style, like, he could probably talk about that. But yeah, rather than try to figure out the specific techniques about how to milk a member to give me every dollar they can, what I try to do is I try to think of everything as offers and incentives that will enhance their membership and make them want to stay. So rather than be like, yeah, just take this, bing, 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 I try to be like, let's look at a product I don't offer. Let's look at, a VOD platform, an apparel platform, cams, like I said, anything that I don't offer that isn't core business that they might want to, that I can almost package as an add-on opposed to a upsell, is kind of what my mentality is. So that's how I do most of that stuff. But there's only so many products in the adult world, so you just offer them all to everybody and try to figure out the best ways to make it so it's not just an upsell to the customer, but an actual join incentive.
Good stuff. You mentioned cams, and we landed our first major whale, I think it was in August, and he has spent a total so far, and it's growing, of $233,000. I have no idea how he manages to spend that, but he does. And what we do for cams is we do a co-registration. Someone joins our site, we co-registration them with a cam site. We use different ones depending if it's gay, straight, hardcore, known porn stars, and we send them to that campsite. We send them an email letting them know they get X amount of free tokens and go ahead and use them. Devon, you guys do very well with cams. Do you have any tips or tricks that you want to mention?
It's interesting. We haven't had a lot of success converting Paysite users into cams. We sort of look at the markets very, very differently, and the intent behind the users. One is a more passive experience. When you talk about Paysites, it's about subscribing and consuming as much content as you want, whereas cams is a more active experience. It's about making connection with a model, and that's where you hit those huge whales like Kenny was talking about. So we tackle the market extremely, extremely differently. We don't often sort of cross-contaminate between Paysites and cams. But one thing that we realized is with cams, there's very different business models, right? There's the freemium model, there's the premium model, and each one of those also attract different audiences and different traffic. So it actually ties into, I guess, one of the subjects we may touch on later, Kenny. It's about knowing your audience, and it's knowing about what product is going to convert best for them.
Great. Anybody else want to add to this?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say something similar after what James said. Bryan said is that it's like there's several different approaches to this, but I mean we're doing everything from emailing to upsells to cross sells to we even white label NakedSword product, and especially for this sort of ancillary businesses. But it is very much that it's like giving, presenting your audience and your fan base with these products that are something that might, might enhance their porn experience, or, if it's toys, or, potentially we've had great success with cams and have a couple of whales ourselves. And, in one way, we sort of throw everything at them and let them decide. And then, what I'm trying to accomplish more and more is that sort of targeted experience. So, this person is into a certain type of niche, then you can find products that are ancillary products that you can sort of push them towards. Like in the game market, we have Fort Trough, which is sort of like an edgy toy store. Well, I know my fisting and fetish guys are going to be really interested in that, so I'm going to steer them toward offers with from Fort Trough, for example. So it's sort of like, if sometimes you can't get that granular and you can't pinpoint somebody's interest. And the other thing you have to remember is you might open a whole new world to somebody who's already in your audience. And if you get too granular, you might never expose them to a gaming site or a cam site or something like that they might have interest in, and that might make you $10,000 in the next year. So it's always like an interesting balance to be analyzing how, when you send traffic away from people who have been former members or something like that, you or the people who are inside your member area, to be careful to just monitor that balance.
Yeah, and now we're able to actually see what users are doing, track them individually, build profiles on them, and be able to offer them stuff based on what they've been looking at. So that it makes it a lot easier to be able to direct market to the user. Anybody else want to add anything to this before we move on? Nikki,
Yeah, that's a great point that Toby made. So try to target as much as possible, so it's not just random stuff that you're trying to throw at the user. Now in adult, this is a little bit harder, right? Because we don't necessarily have as much across the board data about the user than, like, let's say, a typical mainstream service would. But it's certainly not impossible because they're liking and watching a lot of scenes ideally on your site, and you can start very simple, whether that's a recommendation system sort of data set that you're basing it on, but the point is to have at least something simple, and which then you can improve upon. And my only other addition would be to what the other said, cross sales, upsells. When it comes to picking the products that you're going to be upselling to, make no assumptions. So I think oftentimes we fall into the trap of trying to figure out what the user will want or like, and oftentimes it proves to be completely wrong. So I would say make no assumptions and test. Because there were certain products or niches that we thought would do great, and they did barely anything. And just one more small addition. What's old is new again. So we've seen, again, we've assumed there are certain creatives that no longer work, right? Creatives that were first introduced 5-10 years ago. But we tested it anyway. And some of that stuff is still, to date, some of the best performing creatives that we have. Just a small example would be I'm sure a lot of you remember the old slide up little fake chat windows that has a picture of a model and maybe a short 1-paragraph sentence and a call to action. Blows everything out of the water. Same for browser push notifications, right? I would never click enable on that. Pop-ups, same thing. There's two schools, right? One who says it's too intrusive, it obstructs the actual content that the user came there for, but in reality, look at the top 10 pay sites, and look at your own stats. It works.
Yeah, the push notifications are interesting. It's something that I always deny, but it's something that people use, and apparently it works extremely well. Does anybody want to touch on the subject anymore, or shall we move on?
I could jump in on push notifications a little bit. I also find it super interesting. But the good thing that I find about push notifications is you're able to test your messaging, you're able to test your audiences, and you're able to test your segmentation. So from that, you're also gathering a lot of data, you're understanding your user a lot better, and that allows you to sort of push the right offer or push the right scene or push the right message to them that will help with the ultimate conversion. So going on to what Mickey was talking about, it might be hard to know your audiences, but through some of these tools, through your creatives, through your push notifications, it's easy to gather data and then slowly push them further down a funnel and see how they react, and then make changes to ultimately get them to do what you want them to do at the end of the day.
Good stuff. While we're on the topic of, you know, notifying the customers and speaking to your clients and that interaction, for us in the Paysite market, we basically do not contact that customer until they expire, running the risk of, you know, waking up a sleeping person who's just been rebilling and rebilling and rebilling. Yet as soon as they are no longer rebilling, that's when we reach out to them to bring them back. Do you guys reach out to your clients while they're active members?
Yeah, I live by the principle that we're not just trying to ding cards, we're actually trying to provide a product or an experience to a customer. And so I try to engage the customer, bring them to the site, have them use the site, have them interact in an actual like function way, not in like a chat. Like I don't care about that stuff, but like actually like go there, jerk off, explore, find more porn, you know, and be excited. And I think that the risk of waking members and that are on rebill is significantly low, and I would rather have better retention and better engagement and have customer loyalty and not just trying to hit their credit card. So I actively will try everything I can to get customers to show up on the site and log in and involve themselves.
Good stuff. Anybody else want to touch on this?
I mean, it's sort of like always the question, right? So, I mean, we typically do not reach out to current members in any way other than our inside the member area. But there are certain cases where you can sort of segment your user base to communicate with current members who maybe have a long-term membership. So we do a lot of annual subscriptions, for example. So you may not feel, you may not be as, if you are one of those sites that is working off of the idea that if you wake the sleeper and they might cancel your membership, then think about other ways that you can reach out to, maybe long-term memberships to offer them other things. I mean, the former member database, we also like push people off into our blog products like thesword.com, or we have a newsletter that we have that we push them off to. And those people are getting that, those are people that we do communicate with who are current members. They've been on that list, they've rejoined, and then they become a subscriber to a newsletter. Now you're communicating with them, and it has a similar effect. It's sort of like letting them know, like, this is new on the site. But we let them sort of decide if they want to subscribe to the newsletter or, and be communicated with that way. And it feels less like you're, it's less likely to wake the sleeping, member, for example.
Good stuff. Anybody else?
Yeah, I could talk a little bit. It's a little bit different for us at Rabbit's Reviews and the Best Porn because obviously our users are your members. But the interesting thing is we have direct communication with our users, or some of our users, I should say, through customer support. But we offer money back guarantee, which actually, before a user cancels, before they try and charge back, they could actually come to us and we could work with them and try and understand their problem. And often the problem is more about billing or things like that, and it's not about the content itself. So we could actually talk to them, understand what their issue is, and avoid any potential chargeback or any potential refund, or get them to stay on even longer by talking directly to them. On the other hand, we have some that come to us and they're looking for very exclusive content. They're looking for something extremely specific, and it gives us the opportunity to cater directly to our users and get that extra sale or that extra two sales once in a while. But again, the interesting thing is understanding what the user needs and sort of directing them through the right path proactively, as opposed to just being reactive when they're angry or they're upset.
All right, and Devon, while you were talking about that, I mean, you guys at Rabbit's Reviews, I don't think there's any affiliate out there that sends more traffic to more individual sites than you guys. And, you know, saying that all traffic isn't equal. So can you discuss the importance of understanding your audience and matching the right traffic to the right product?
Yeah, sure. I mean that's really what the review market, or what Rabbit's Reviews and the best porn is all about. A lot of people say not all traffic is equal, and it comes back to being able to monetize that traffic, but it's more about not because that traffic can't convert, but it's because you're not speaking to what the audience is actually looking for. For example, if you're playing the SEO game and you're looking at the organic traffic that comes to you, you could see the keywords that they come through, and you could understand the intent behind what they're searching for. And this applies like not just to affiliates, to SEO, to media buying. It's about interpreting what the user is looking for and trying to match with their needs. If it's price points, we know that if a user is visiting the deals section, or they're exploring the deal of the day or the flash sales on our site, so we know that they're price sensitive, and we could offer them better price points. If they're just exploring different niches, and if they're spending a lot of time in a specific niche on our website, we get an understanding for what they're looking for, and again can get them to convert on specific products that their core competency is really that niche that they're exploring. So what we do is we look at all of those data points, whether it's search intent, whether it's what type of ad they come through, what type of traffic that they're coming through, how they're navigating and exploring our website, and from there you're able to customize the experience in a way where you're actually tailoring it to the needs of what the user is actually looking for. And that's the one thing that's been cool about Rabbits, because you could come here and you could sort of just search and you could explore anything that you want in the porn world, but you could also get sort of specifically catered content based on what you're looking for, and that has greatly impacted sort of our ability to convert, and not only just convert the user, but get them to stay on for a couple of months.
Awesome. One thing you touched on was pricing and discount, and that's something that has been a bit of a hot topic and a bit of an ass burner for a lot of Paysite owners, is some of these discount sites that will offer the $9.95 per month and these deep discounts. Before we get into discussing, I just want to let you guys know that we ran a test this past Black Friday where we didn't offer any discounts, but we had pop-ups advertising our regular annual price at a discount, because it already is a discount price, the annual subscription. And we didn't notice any difference from the years before as far as conversion ratios. We made just as many sales. We actually made more money because we were offering the annual as the subscription of choice, rather than the regular monthly at $7 or $8 or anything like that. So also with the discount sites, from what we've seen, is it got into really big, deep discounts for a while, and now they're raising their prices back again. Do you want to discuss that, Devon, or any of the other guys, when it comes to pricing and discounts?
Yeah, I think for Rabbits is interesting because it's a review site, but we also have all the discounts that all the discount sites have, and we share a lot of the traffic and the same users as them. And one thing that we've realized is lower price is not better. So and we've discussed this with many of our Paysite partners out there. It's about finding the right price that's going to get them to convert the most and get them to stay on the longest. So it's about finding that sweet spot between initial conversion and also retention of the user. And what we've discovered is it's not always the lowest price. Of course, the lowest price, you might get higher conversion rates, but long-term value that you get out of those users is probably going to be substantially less. So we really try not to position ourselves as a discount site. We really try to up the price points at least enough to get the users to stay on and to convert quickly. And I think for every product, it's different. The price point is different. The retention rates are different, and it's about optimizing that and finding the sweet spot.
Good stuff. Anybody, Toby, you want to add something?
Yeah, I mean, the key here is exactly what Devon said, is like finding the value of the customer and which entry-level price point gives you the highest value per customer. So, you know, we done, you know, it's funny because, you know, Tim Valenti, the president of Falcon NakedSword, he's been mostly focused on NakedSword all this time, and he was like hugely resistant because I came in and I was working with Gamma and Buddy Profits on the Falcon raging side, and they were like really going deep discount. And Tim never really did that on NakedSword. So we have a great way to look at this comparison of, you know, the value of the customers are higher on NakedSword because he's never really like gone down to like a $4.95 intro price. And it's really about like the customer, you know, there's all kinds of different porn customers out there. There's the site hoppers who will go and find that $4.95 value and they'll spend a month there and they cancel or whatever. So it's really about, but I mean, at the very base of it is like, if you have the way to go and look at, you know, at this price point, this is the value of the customer, and you can look at that from history and say, oh, okay, well, you know, this price point like spends 5 more weeks or 5 more months with a membership than this other price point that only rebills once or twice. So keep an eye on those numbers, and that'll sort of guide you into sort of the sweet spot for your pricing.
Fantastic. Bryan?
Yeah, so LTV, lifetime value, that's the name of the game you guys have been talking about. Like, that's like the value of the customer is what's more important than just the initial sale, but also remembering different traffic platforms are going to convert and perform completely differently. So deal sites, if you find that your like LTV is, you know, $10, then, you know, it's going to be $10 no matter what, and you're paying them a PPS versus a rev share, then just kind of trying to optimize that to being the most profitable versus a review site or a members area or a tube, and being able to really drill down each traffic source by you know, by price point, and then figure out what that price point is for each one, and then kind of catering to that is very important. The idea of like yeah, you might not have any $5 members because you never did any $5 members, but you might not have been getting traffic from the places where the $5 members actually are going to turn a profit in the right way. And so being able to really test those and trying to optimize your LTV is really important, and also important to remember that every single place that is sending traffic is going to send a different type of traffic and will perform differently. And just because you have this horrible price point that makes no sense, it might do really, really well over here. And so keep it and try it over there and see how it does.
Yeah, that's a great point you're making, and I think it's something that a lot of Paysite owners don't do. I know on some of our sites we're guilty of it, is not catering our price point to where the traffic is actually coming from. So very, very good point there.
And also remember, to that point, like bringing somebody into your universe has a value in and of itself. And if you can track the monetization of that customer through all of the other sort of ways you can make money off of them, there may be a value to like making it that low and bringing a new audience member into your universe.
To that point as well, that is huge, because so for my company, I don't have the largest, like I can either invest in marketing and in PR or in ad buys and media buys, and I I only have so much resources to be able to push in every direction. So rather than spend and compete with, you know, these big, huge companies that are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on media buys on the tubes and these crazy traffic platforms and trying to compete in like really isolated keyword centric, you know, traffic niches, I rather spend 10 times that money and that I would spend on that ad buy or that I could afford on that ad buy, but spend it on members that might just be discount high PPS members, but it's effectively getting active customers that are going to log in. They're going to be part of your brand. Even if they just bounce out, it's guaranteed to get awareness. They're pulling out their credit card. They're involving themselves with the site. And so even though it's, you know, not necessarily the same as a media buy, if you reframe your thinking and say, instead of doing a media buy, I'm going to purchase these members, knowing that they're not going to stick around forever, you are getting just exactly what Toby said. You're getting active customers that now know your brand, know your product, and might come back and buy it at a better price point and be really interested in it.
About growing the audience.
Yeah.
Grow your audience.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And also, if you segment these members, then you have the options of optimizing for backend revenue, right? So if you have guys that joined at the $10 price point, then you will have a database of people that you can send partner offers to at the same price point.
Yeah, good points, guys. We only have a couple minutes left. There's something that I meant to mention earlier that we started using a couple months ago, and it's been fantastic, is drop cart mailers. As the people that come to the site, they get to the pre-join page, they put some of their info in, they get to the join page, and then they leave. We've been marketing to them right after they leave, then a few days later, and we change the pricing as we go, a few days later, a week later, things like that. And we've had great success. So it's, if you're not doing it, it might be an option for you that's been bringing in some extra revenue for us.
I second that. We do that too, and it's very valuable.
Great. We only have a couple of minutes left. Anybody want to share any pearls of wisdom, anything else that someone listening might be able to learn something?
Find people that have done this before and ask them everything. Everybody is really excited to help and wants everyone to succeed. There aren't any secrets. And if you go and you find the people and say, hey, help me, I want to learn, everyone is really nice and really happy to help. So that's how you learn, by asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and find partners. Go and, you know, like, come to, you know, if any of us said something today that sparked something in your brain about maybe I could do that, like, reach out to us, reach out to other people at the conference who might have a tool that you could use to increase your revenue.
Except Devon, he's useless.
Yeah, except for us. But you could come to Mike at Rabbit's Reviews, and he will definitely help you. One thing that we've been very good at working with some of our partners is sort of helping them adjust their offer, adjust their site, adjust their content to help get them more traffic, whether that's through Rabbit's Reviews, whether that's through other sources. So often people will come to Mike, who's my product manager for Rabbit's Reviews, and sort of ask suggestions. How can we improve this? What do you think? And we're more than happy to share as much knowledge as we can.
Good stuff. And from what you're saying, from what Bryan was saying, just to add to that, there's a term I heard, that co-opetition. And that's one thing I love about this industry. If you're my biggest competitor, I want to work with you. So that's the best thing about this industry. Someone has a competing product, well, you guys can work together, because that member's not going to stay with you forever. So that's... All right, so I just got the 1 minute warning. I want to take the minute to thank all you guys for being here, everybody who's watching, Panos, the whole interNEXT and GFY team for putting this thing on. I'll give everybody the last 45 seconds to say their goodbyes. And thank you all for watching.